Hi, my name is Marshall Bureau. I'm playing drums in the Great Lakes Swimmers. This is a vintage Gretsch round badge drum kit. The bass drum is from the late 50s, as far as I know. I got it online actually from the Philadelphia drum shop, and it came in boxes, all kind of torn apart and broken. So I rebuilt it. Had to re-glue a bunch of the seams around the inside of the shell. It's a 3-ply shell. I believe it was mahogany and maple at the time. These toms were early 60s round badge toms. This one used to be blue sparkle, this high tom, this 13-inch. So I had it refinished to match the bass drum as closely as I could. And the floor tom was just kind of a project drum that was, somebody had refinished it and lacquered it very poorly. So I sanded it all down again and I had it refinished as well to match the bass drum. So best to my knowledge, these are early 60s toms that have all been kind of turned into a bit of a jelly bean kit. Which is kind of fun. The bass drum is a 22 by 14. It's a bit shallower than a normal bass drum. This is a 13 by 9 tom. And the floor tom is a 16 by 16 floor tom. The snare drum is actually a more modern drum. This is a Sonar, I think they call it an all-Canadian maple snare. It's got a kind of a bird's eye maple finish. And I think the idea is a lot of the woods come from Canada, which is great because that's where I'm from. It's a 10-ply shell with die-cast hoops. It's become one of my favorite drums. I have a bunch of older ones, but this one is just really versatile and works really well for a lot of different things. Top heads on these toms, I have some, they're kind of old now, which I like older heads, but these are the vintage Emperor, the Remo vintage Emperors, and they're coated. On the bottom I have coated Ambassador heads. On the top of my snare drum right now is just a standard coated Ambassador and a coated snare drum batter side head on the bottom of the snare. Kick drum, it's an Aquarian Super Kick 2 on the back. It's kind of become my favorite bass drum head. It's so easy to get it where you want. And the front, which are hard to find right now, this is a fiber skin, a Remo fiber skin head. And I don't even think they make those anymore, so I'm trying to take care of it as much as I can. This cymbal here I have is a Pasty traditional ride. I've had this for about 20 years. You can see here there's actually a crack in it. I've drilled some holes at the end to try and keep it from creeping out too far. This ride cymbal is really nice and dark. Really works with this acoustic set nicely. It's been a go-to cymbal for anything quieter for me for a long time. It's dark and kind of trashy. And, it's one of my favorites. This crash cymbal is a Zildjian vintage crash. I can't remember how long I've had this. Actually, I only use this crash cymbal. I have a bunch of them, and I find I only use this one. It's a remake. I think it's a Constantinople series. I could be wrong. But it's a newer cymbal that is more in the vintage style. It's an 18-inch Zildjian vintage crash. The hi-hats are actually 15-inch 1970s new beat hi-hats, and these are the hi-hats I think that Steve Gadd was really into at the time. I found a set of these at a drum shop used really inexpensively, amazingly, and they are my favorite thing actually on the drum sets. They sound great and are easy to play. The sticks that I use are Vader Manhattan 7As. I've been using these forever. They're a nice stick. They're smaller in diameter, but they're longer than a normal 7A, more like the length of a 5A stick. So I just find it suits me really well in terms of how it moves in my hand. And I like a beaded tip because you can kind of control your attack and stuff on your drums and your cymbals a bit more. Sometimes I let them get worn down on purpose, just because it makes them a little bit quieter, and that's just different sounds. I also use a lot of things like mallets. These are just timpani mallets that I'll use sometimes on the cymbals, and a lot of brushes. These are Vader, Regal tip, standard Regal tip brushes that I use for quite a bit of the set. The hardware is, it's a mishmash of things. One of my favorite pieces is actually this Camco bass drum pedal. This is an older Camco pedal. It's kind of like the grandfather of the modern bass drum pedal. This one I think is from the 70s, maybe 80s. It's made by Tama, so it must be an 80s one. But basically most bass drum pedals now are modeled on this one, and I love this pedal. I use it all the time. I've had it for a good 20 years as well. The rest of my stands, this is a newer flat bass stand. I actually just got this. I think it's Gibraltar. It's just nice and lightweight. When you're touring a lot, try to keep your stands as light as possible. This one here is an older Ludwig flat bass stand again, but this one's old. It's probably from the 50s. It's got these old wing nuts on it. Sometimes it falls down on me, depending on how hard I'm playing. but again, it's nice and lightweight. And this is just a standard Yamaha hi-hat stand. And I like these guys. They use like an aircraft aluminum. It's really lightweight, but it's really strong. It doesn't move, doesn't fall apart at all. This is a rock and sock seat. It's a little bit old. It's getting a little bit ripped. But it's just it's really great for your back. Ultimately, it's got a small ridge. Some people have backs on the back of their thrones, and I just find it too cumbersome to tour with that. But it's a really comfortable seat, and it's a spindle style, so there's no way it's going to slip and you know, fall on you in the middle of the set or something like that. Yeah, I've had this one for a long time as well. All right, if you want to visit us at on Instagram, it's great_lake_swimmers, and on Twitter, it's @Great Lakes Swim. And yeah, check us out there.